Hello, good morning. It's the return of Gravelly Dan. Hey Dave, how's it going?
Hey, Gravelly Dan, how are you?
I'm more nasally Dan today, I think.
Oh, it's not the
Actually,
return of the nine horn.
the Ninehorn also spoke very nasally. That's true. Um, yeah, no, I'm on the tail end of a cold. Not too bad, but I took a few days off,
Oh,
and it was frustratingly annoying because having a cold is one, and I'm not
hmm
just not used to having colds anymore these days.
yeah, yeah, I know that
So
feeling.
apologies if my voice is still a bit off.
Oh, oh, well, it's good to see you in any case, Daniel, and I hope you're feeling a bit better than you were. I don't think we'd be talking if you felt as bad as you were the other
Yeah,
day.
no, it's
So,
it's 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 steadily going upwards finally because like this thing took ages. Like actually, this is still the same cold that I brought from the States. I
ooh,
just kind of ignored it and tried to
yeah.
work through it, and that was my mistake. And then it kind of flared up again.
Oh,
So, folks,
speaking,
if you are sick, like go to bed, do
yep,
not work,
no, do not
do
pass
not
go.
create shareholder value. Instead, do not produce content. Instead,
No,
produce um,
rest.
T cells.
T cells, yes. He's oh man, you said flare up. That's been my life over the last couple of
Oh
weeks
yeah.
as well. So my ongoing battle with sort of chronic pain, long COVID, flared up. So yeah, we've both been through the walls a bit in the last week. I took a couple of days last week to just rest as well, which was incredibly necessary. And I don't know about you, Daniel, but I don't rest very well, right?
Hmm.
So it takes me, I have to be quite ill to A, take time off from work to be ill. And when I'm then taking that time out, instead of going, oh, we are now needing to rest, the first bit of my developer indie dev brain suddenly goes, oh, my to-do list. I've got all this time that is in front of me that I could just look at things, which is not the right way to be off sick. So anyway, I sat on my hands a little bit and actually rested,
Oh, that's
and
very
now
good.
I'm feeling a lot better for it. So
Oh, that's
lesson
really good
learned.
to hear.
Yeah,
But
it's
I'm
a
the same way in that way. Like I wanted to do awesome stuff on the weekend
mhm.
and just have like like a tiny bit of fun, and that didn't work out. But also like I was working so much, like not for Indeed per se, but like for telemetry deck, and
Yep.
my like work life balance, oh, not even work life balance, just like work and life balance is pretty good actually. It's just that both is so much, and so I'm
Mhm.
going full throttle all the time, and so it was really hard to make myself rest as well. But like once it really hit me, and I was like properly sick, and then I kind of laid down and was like, okay, I'm just gonna rest. Once I accepted that I had to rest, it was really nice actually. Like not as in my like my body was like didn't feel good, but my mind kind of like
Yep.
had a break for a while, and so I didn't for a long while. I didn't even think of. Like, I thought of work, and I had a bad conscience because like my to do list is huge
Mhm.
and getting like bigger every day. you know, like as soon as you're off sick, and then like the next five emails are like, oh, this is not working. Hey, can you please check out this? And then the server is like, ding ding ding, I'm broke, I'm breaking.
Yeah.
Um. So yeah, but like I don't know. Once I really put my head on a pillow, I didn't do anything except watch TikToks, watch about 14,000 hours of content on YouTube, and sleep. Oh, and I watched
Yep.
the TV show. I watched
Hey.
Fallout, the Fallout show, but I can tell you about that later. I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. And Daniel, I'm aware that we're a few minutes into the show already.
Which show actually? What show is this? We should do an intro or something.
An intro would be a good
So,
idea.
hey, welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts, Dave and Daniel, and let's hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. Join us while waiting for review. And now you know.
Well, it's definitely good to be speaking to you again, Daniel. The one thing all of this that we've just spoken about does is it throws our schedule all over the place for recording the show.
Horrible.
As well it should, like this stuff takes priority. But
I mean, on the one hand, I'm like, oh, this is annoying because we committed to let's do weekly recording, and then it kind of doesn't work, and that makes it more complicated. On the other hand, this is kind of the third tier job that we have. Like your first job is your jobby job, and then your second job is like GoVJ or Lightbeam apps, and then your third job is this podcast, basically.
I think so, and I'm trying not to think
occupation.
Occupation, yeah, pastime thing. But yeah, you're not wrong. It has to be in that order. But yeah, it's good to be recording again, and it's good to be the other side of various health bits and bobs. And I'm glad you're getting better on your side as well. This is part of life. This is part of what happens, and you've just got to roll with it as stuff comes up. Really, like I say, I'm terrible at rolling with it. But yeah. I'm looking in our show notes, Daniel. We've got some items marked off as follow-up.
Oh yeah, we're doing follow-up now because I actually have follow-up.
Let's do it.
All right, follow-up. Two pieces of follow-up. The first one is about my server stories, which is I was trying out running my Druid cluster outside of Kubernetes in just like a bunch of VMs, and then they were still kind of dying all the time, and I was like very confused because I didn't really get anything in the logs. They were just like the logs were just like, hey, I received a kill signal or an abort signal, so I'm shutting down, and I'm like, by whom? Whomst hath sendeth the
the thing.
And I was like, okay, if this was in Kubernetes, then I would have expected like the host thing to be like, okay, this thing is using too much memory, I'm going to kill it. But this is on a VM, like on just a regular machine. So what is happening? And so I was like aimlessly searching around on the internet, and then I finally come across a thing. Like I was combining various like weird keywords, like Java memory usage, Java program getting killed with -stick abort or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out there's a thing on Linux that is called the OOMkiller, the out of memory killer. And I'm like, wait, what? Like I went to VMs because I just want to like go deep into swap if I have to. Like I don't want to be killed if I use all the memory.
Yes.
But yeah, it is apparently a thing. If I need to research into it. Like for now, I just like noticed, okay, this is a thing. It will actually kill processes that use too much RAM. And I need to read into how to configure it, because I'm pretty sure that these machines are configured in a way that they don't automatically have swap space, which is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
So, and also, like, I want to look into A, how can I add swap space to these machines, and B, how can I actually configure the OOMkiller to be less hostile, less deadly. Yeah.
That's. I mean, it sounds nasty. That OOMkiller. It sounds like a comic book villain or something on a newspaper front page.
The OOMkiller.
The OOMkiller, yes. It also reminds me of what we have on iOS, where memory pressure and that sort of thing.
I was expecting this about this on iOS or something, but not on a Linux Ubuntu VM. But yeah,
yep,
whatever.
Well,
this is what I found out. So I wanted to share the next step in this exciting adventure with everyone.
Well,
The other, yeah.
I was going to say we need to add this as follow up to the follow up, which will be how you fared taking on the OOMkiller.
Yeah,
next time we talk
stay
about
tuned.
it.
Like and subscribe. If you listen to this on YouTube, you should subscribe right now, and you should also press the like button and also the little bell, and then you will know immediately when we upload the new episode. If you listen to this on any other show, on any other podcatcher, you should definitely do that rating, like rate us 5 stars.
Always be selling, Daniel.
Always be closing. I like that you actually added to our show notes where I wrote down something like, oh yeah, this is called there's something I encountered something called an OOMkiller, and then you added, that sounds nasty, and I mean it does.
Yes, it does. It does indeed.
Yeah. The other piece of follow up is last time you made a rude hand gesture at me.
I did. Yes.
Yes. And then I said,
I'm not going to do it again.
You made the reverse V sign at me. That's apparently the name. And I made a joke about archery. I said something like, "Oh yeah, you are showing me that you are capable of still doing archery." And because I was like half remembering a thing where I was pretty sure that someone told me once that the gesture was invented by the British after being invaded or after the French tried to invade, and then were repelled by the British archers, and so they made the gestures to show basically that they still had 2 fingers that would be able to draw a bow. Apparently, according to this Wikipedia article that I'm linking in the show notes, there is no proof for that. Like that is one of multiple origin myths of this gesture.
Yeah.
But there's no actual proof or historical document or anything where it actually says that. So might have been, might have not been. But the Wikipedia article also has multiple images and pictures of famous people doing the sign, like Winston Churchill and David Bowie. So that's also kind of nice.
Yeah, the Winston Churchill one's kind of funny. We've got Robbie Williams there as well doing the same gesture. It's definitely, obviously, a British thing. Daniel, I apologize for any insult in the moment.
But I was slandering you.
You were indeed. You deserved it. But so
no need to apologize.
Fair. But maybe I should stick to more universally understood insults next time as well. There's a hierarchy. There's a hierarchy of insult, right? So the one with 2 fingers, certainly where I was in the UK growing up, is slightly less severe than the one with 1 finger.
And also like for the non-Brits, it's even better because it's so obscure. It like doesn't hit as hard. It's just a funny gesture, you know. Even if you know the meaning, it is not doesn't hit so deep, you know.
Yeah. And whereas obviously the middle finger is definitely reserved for what is it reserved for? It's reserved for when you get cut up by somebody driving dangerously, perhaps, is where I might use some sort of gesture like that.
You wouldn't do it in Germany because you can get sued in Germany for slander, actually, if you show someone the middle finger in traffic. So Germans will either circle their finger or along their temple.
Yeah.
Or just like wave with the whole hand. That contains a middle finger, you know, but like less obvious.
Do you not get something in your eye occasionally?
Or that, yeah.
Oh.
Speaking of slander, we got feedback. Actually, I got feedback on Mastodon by Michael License, who writes, Daniel, you took almost 0 time to turn waiting for review into a slanderous podcast. So I think you may have had it planned ahead of time. Dave needs to keep a close eye on you. Yeah, I totally had that. No,
This is me keeping an eye on you, keeping an eye on me.
as long as you don't disconnect again, like if you're disconnecting, it's like my podcast.
Yeah, fair. I need to check my
I don't know,
router
but
logs. What were you doing?
this is just the bit. Like I've been doing that for ages. Like whenever someone in my friend group leaves the room, and when they come back, I just like pretend to just finish a sentence about them or something like that, just to just to make them mad.
Well, I'm looking further down the rest of this conversation, and you're asking Michael if he was asking if you were an XZ level state actor. And I mean that would be quite a level of foresight, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. If we ever announce that we're releasing some sort of new library, some new repository or something on this show, I'm going to be double checking that library, Daniel.
please do. Yeah. No, that's the long con. Just go on a podcast with someone, and then on the off chance that at some point you'll be like, oh, I can't get this kernel level video VJ app to run properly on the government machines. Daniel, you take a look? And then I'm like, ha 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 ha.
My time has come.
My time has come.
No,
I promise I am not a state actor.
Yep.
But
crikey,
that's probably what a state actor would say.
I'm not even a state object these days. Damn. Speaking of actor. Which, I am deep in the wrapping up of GoVJ 3 to get it out the door. Yeah.
Cool. So what does that mean? Like more marketing materials or bug fixing or both?
Bit of both. So I think when we last spoke, I was talking about getting some content together. And we spoke about, I was using Blender to make some new video loops to ship with the app. I'm on the other side of that now. I've done enough for me to feel happy that I can release it. And it has enabled what I was blocked on before, which means I can now go and take screenshots and get those together and all of that. So that's cool. I've cleared pretty much all of my bug fix list.
Fantastic.
So that's even cooler. That was yesterday. And so where am I now? I have I posted a little video recording to the socials over the weekend, so to Instagram and off to Facebook and all the other places that people that use my app tend to be. That's the start of the marketing. Doesn't feel like it. It was just a video of me noodling around and kind of saying this is me playing with the beta and blah blah blah. But
that's perfect, because that is the number one question like that I always have when someone is talking about their app. Is like, and what does it actually do? And if I know what it does, like how does it feel using it? And that's exactly what you're answering. So that's perfect.
So I put that one out yesterday because that was an relatively easy test to do. Sit and record your screen and kind of just go through. So that's where it's at. My next tasks are going to be very much around. I've got a test plan that I need to walk through with the older devices, and I've been kind of putting it off because I know I'm going to find something, and I know that's going to be a bit of a rabbit hole. So I'm expecting, to be honest with you, I've seen some of this whilst testing already, but there's a couple of areas with the app now that are quite resource intensive. And I'm expecting to need to do something about that to protect users from themselves at that point, because what you can end up with is the device will get very warm. It can end up, the frame rate of what it's doing will drop. There's a number of things that I can do to potentially resolve that. And that's what I'm going to be testing through very shortly. So it's a bit of a once-over to sort of say, well, okay, are there some lower quality settings or anything that I can do with this to then make it more useful on an older device that's struggling? Right. And I got a solution in mind already, but you can see what I'm doing to myself here is holding off on solutionizing too deep before actually doing a proper critical assessment of the problem. So
That's hard,
yeah,
but
yeah. And
I'm proud of you.
I mean, what happens though, Daniel, is I've tested it obviously, and I have used it on these devices a bit already, and it works. But then when you add things into the mix, like I don't know, say I've got some 4K videos, and it's then downscaling them because it works in HD. Say you've also then got it doing NDI, where I'm sending the video output over network. That's using the video encoder on the device, so that then chews up a bunch of its capability. When you plug all this together, it's you do see frame rate dropouts on the older devices. So we shall see. Solution would be perhaps to drop the frame rate of the streaming, or not the frame rate, the resolution rather. Another solution may well be to drop the frame rate. At the moment it's shipping a frame every single refresh of the screen, and that's 60 times a second on most devices. It perhaps only needs to be 30, so we could so this is the sort of stuff, right? I've got to have a play with it and actually see what the tuning sort of looks like. There'll be some, and then based on what that looks like, I will either build a feature or build some sensible defaults for it to load into. So
Yeah, that sounds good.
yeah. I'm trying to avoid having another settings menu, but I don't think there's a place where I come out of this without it, to be honest.
No, it'll just be an alert. And the alert says, your device is not awesome enough to run GoVJ in its full glory. So you're just getting 320 by 240 resolution.
Ooh. I mean,
Pixels are in. Pixels are in, Like you made an
in.
entire pixel filter and everything. Pixels are cool.
Retro
is cool.
Do you remember I had a pixel editing app? Well, a pixel filtering app that would,
I love that.
It's occurred to me I could resurrect it, given the video pipeline I've now got, because that was actually the sticking point with releasing the app before. So maybe I'll go back, Daniel, but not yet. Not yet. Sitting on my hands. Need to get this release out. Yes.
Very good. I know it's very tricky. I feel it too, when like all the responsibilities you feel are like tugging on you at the same time. And you a lot of the time it's very tempting to just fall into the thing that is the most pleasurable to do.
Yes.
Instead of reassessing like what is the most necessary thing to do right now.
That's it. And if I look at my release list, Daniel, which I do have, I've got this in front of me right here. It's exactly as I've just said to you. So next up after bug fixes is testing. And on my notes, I've got run through my test plan with the oldest iPad and phone that I have. And then after that, we're into marketing and updating all the screenshots, which I can now do. And then, yes, after that, we're into, getting stuff ready for Instagram and Facebook to run before release, actually getting it submitted for review, and all the other bits and bobs. So I'm getting there. It's taken a bit of a hit over the last couple of weeks because of obvious time and health-related reasons. But accountability check-in, I'm getting through the tasks.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's the same reason why I wrote the roadmap sticker, like the roadmap that is like on my wall over there. Even though I'm going to rip it up actually these days because a few things have changed timing wise. But it's still awesome to have it as an accountability thing where you're like, okay, no, but the next thing on the roadmap is this.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to stay honest with that because this is the stage. This is the stage where almost anything other than that list looks appealing.
Yeah, I get it. It's so good. I feel the same right now, but oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Actually, if I followed the old roadmap, the next thing would be like rethink the pricing system. And
Mm-hmm.
actually, that doesn't sound too appealing. And that is now out of the window because turns out, just like timing wise, I need to work on servers first. And then
Yep.
I also, my next item on the new roadmap will be reworking the website, because I think we talked about this as well last time, and I actually managed to talk to a few experts
Mm-hmm.
and one of them kind of took apart the telemetry deck website and was like, "Hey, you got so much stuff on one page. You gotta like spread that out, like one page for each feature, and then also like you gotta make 12 personas." People who you want
Right.
to be your customers, and one of them is
Mm-hmm.
indie developers, one of them is a product owner, maybe one of them would be a C-level executive.
Yeah.
One of them would be just a corporate developer, stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
for each of those, make a separate landing page. Then they don't have to be huge either, because my landing pages are like 12 meters long. That is about, I don't know, 36 feet maybe.
Yeah.
And so instead, do, like very small landing pages
Yep.
and just a lot of them. So I think that's the next thing on the roadmap, even though I'd rather do features for the web application. I
Mm-hmm.
think the next item on the roadmap will be the updating the website, getting more new possible customers into the top of the funnel, which
That sounds like
is
the right
a
focus to
which
me.
sounds
Yes.
very businessy, and I hate it because it sounds so businessy. But it's
Mm-hmm.
also it seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah. I'm zeroing in on one thing you've said in that conversation, Daniel. So please
Which
forgive
is
me if it's the wrong focus. But you mentioned 12 personas. That intuitively feels like too many out of the gate to me.
I thought the same thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
So
that's the. I mean, like I don't have to like, but like that's what he said. Like, of course, it doesn't have to be on day one, but on day
yes.
12,
Persona a
on the
day, Daniel.
12th day of, I don't know. Like, we gotta define them first. Like, off the top of my head, I could think of like 6 or 7.
Yep.
So if I can only like go up to 8 or 9, then it doesn't make sense. Like, I can't like, you
Not for the
know,
sake of it, no. So
if I just
one thing
invent
I
someone who doesn't exist, then that doesn't make sense either.
no, but one thing I was going to say is that I have a past in data analysis, customer analysis, and one of the things that I did in that when that was my day job, we were looking at customer personas for marketing and if we could identify them in the data that we had of our customer base. So
Mm-hmm.
more of an introspective than an outwards funnel kind of thing to begin
Oh yeah.
with. Now, one of the things with that sort of segmentation is that we were encouraged by well, I was encouraged by my head of department at the time that any activity focusing in on a persona, you don't target it immediately, like literally just for that persona. Like that is its starting point, and then if you imagine you've got a graph that you're able to plot the different personas on. And for listeners, I'm moving my hands around in a somewhat not meaningful way, but clearly it's there in my head. You'd have a graph with all these personas on, and your activity for things like advertising and that sort of stuff should kind of, if possible, try and be hitting a midpoint between a couple of these personas potentially.
Oh
So
yeah.
you sort of get 2 for 1 on the blast radius.
Yeah. I already named a few. I
Yeah.
opened my notes in the meantime.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is also startups, then small and medium sized businesses. I have, hang on. Oh, yeah. Data privacy officers, or
Yep.
people who are generally interested in data privacy, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Non-European companies who kind of want to go into Europe, but then are kind of afraid of the whole GDPR stuff,
Yep.
that kind of thing, like, so like it doesn't have to be super, super different. And anyway,
Yeah.
also a landing, or not a landing page, but a separate page for each feature. And we actually have a bunch of features. So yeah,
That's cool.
that's the plan.
Love it. And I think
I,
I can see how this could come together with your features. I think there's a a possibility there. If you've split out the individual features to having their own page, their own sort of highlight, it's also a target maybe later on to actually do something like you've had your webinars. So you might see within the features that you can then start to literally link webinars to those features
Oh
as
yeah,
well. So it's
oh
like
yeah.
you want to deep dive, hey, we've got a webinar about this thing,
Oh,
or
that's a
it's
smart
covered in
idea.
this webinar. Yeah, um, that could be cool.
I was
Um,
actually thinking, like right now, is you all the webinars we've done is like me interviewing someone about their special knowledge, which is of course incredibly valuable. But
yeah,
I think at some point someone should interview me about telemetry deck, like like where I screen share and like tell you everything about how does the filtering system work. I don't know, and then
yeah.
because then that actually makes total sense.
Well, you could even run that as a bit of a thing, Daniel, like an event, in the sense of not just. I mean, a webinar is an event, but I'm thinking you could run it as like an Ask Me Anything kind of
Yeah.
slot. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just I don't want to like plan that right now because there's just so
Hmm.
much on the plate, and
Yeah.
I think concentrating on fewer things is better. Like I actually thought about pausing the webinars for a while,
Hmm.
but I think right now they are giving value, so I think I'm going to continue them. Anyway, I don't know. By the way, the like last time we spoke, the newest webinar was in the future. It is now in our past.
Yes.
Localization best practices with Jihad Gündüz
Hmm.
was a blaster record. That's kind of the last thing I did before succumbing to my illness. So I was pretty gravelly in that webinar as well, and I was not like my mind wasn't 100% there, but it was a pretty successful thing. It is now finished. Like the most work was actually preparing the notes beforehand, like with Jihad, like just like a list of things we wanted to talk about, and then also just like editing it a little bit, like cutting out a few things that were just about managing the webinar, and then
Yeah.
also a few like verbal typos. And then I already created a Blender intro for the last one, so I just like changed the text in that and like re-rendered it,
Nice.
and so through all of that in DaVinci, but like still, it still cost me a few, like an hour or two, I think, or even three. But I was
Yep.
like compromised because I was doing it in bed on my laptop. I was like, at some point, I was very bored. I had just finished watching the Fallout show, and then I was like, "Oh, I gotta do something. I can kind of just like edit the webinar. It's not like mentally taxing or physically taxing. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you naughty boy there, Daniel. Though editing while you're in your sick bed, but I get it.
I
It's
know, I
not too
know.
intense. You mentioned
Um,
the Fallout show.
Yeah, hang on. Like one more thing, I'm gonna put a link to the webinar on YouTube into the
Hmm.
show notes. So if you want to read that, I want to listen to that. It is just one click away.
Awesome.
Yes, I did mention Fallouts. I watched during my illness period. I watched half of Constellation on Apple TV and all of Fallout. So yeah,
Is it good?
both were nice for different reasons.
Awesome. I it's on my list. I never really played the game, uh,
Hmm.
so I feel like there's going to be a bit that just goes over my head with it.
I feel like
Potentially.
it introduces the world very very well for people who are not, because like I played Fallout 1, I think, like the or 2, I don't I played a 2D Fallout game, so that must
Hmm.
have been the first or maybe the second one. um so that's like I don't know, like an age ago. And then I also played Fallout 3 on the Xbox 360, I think. And so that's the first of the modern Bethesda Fallout games, basically. And then I also dropped out, and both of these games that I played them is kind of long ago, so I forgot a lot. But the things I remembered was a certain like feeling and vibe,
Hmm.
and that is very well transported into the show.
Okay.
And what I also remembered is that I was like really sick of the ink spots. The ink spots is a 30s or 40s era American barbershop kind of quartet style band. And they play constantly in the Fallout games, and they also play constantly in the Fallout TV show. And it's just always the same. It's like, ah, oh, come on, do I need to listen to that? But it explains its world very well. If I feel like, especially like for someone who is like because I definitely needed a refresher, so I feel like it's very very good as an entry point into the whole Fallout universe. It has the same mix of absurdity, which is kind of usually funny, but with a lot of grimness. Where, for example, like people are just absolutely desperate and like scrambling to survive, but then like things get so absurd that it's kind of funny. And the same is also visually is also kind of the same. It's very colorful, very 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 like shining or shiny, but at the same time it's incredibly like graphically violent, especially the first few episodes. Like there's like so much blood splattering everywhere. So yeah, it has lots of contrasts. And I didn't know this before I started watching, but it's actually made by what's his first name, Mr. Nolan, but not Christopher Nolan, his brother, I think. And Mr. Nolan's wife, Lisa Joy. And these are the two people who made Westworld.
Oh,
and
okay.
Like once I recognized the name in the outro credits for the first episode, I was like, and then I kind of looked at it, and it feels very like it has a kind of a vibe also from the first season of Westworld. So that's kind of nice.
Cool.
Especially there's like a cowboy figure, and that very much reminds me of the Man in Black from Westworld, even though like morally that cowboy figure is very different from but like just like from the how he moves and whatever. It's like it's nice. So yeah, I think I can recommend it. One thing that kind of annoyed me was it feels like not too much, but sometimes it feels a bit cynical towards me as a viewer. Like it's not like me and the show being like, haha, look at this, haha, we're being cynical. But it's more like the show saying like, yeah, here, you can just take this. We don't care. And especially this is because this is going to sound super weird. The Fallout TV show feels too diverse. And this is an incredible hot take, of course. Like, and if you told me this, I would be raising multiple eyebrows. What I mean is
all
this.
The eyebrows.
What I mean is this. Apparently, AWS, or no, not AWS, Amazon Studios has decided or has decreed or whatever that every like roles, like all the roles need to be cast from a diverse set of actors, which is a very good thing for like first of all, right? And so what that means is in that show is that everyone from the executives to the poor people, from the people in the future to the people in the past, everyone everywhere has all kinds of very diverse regarding race and gender and backgrounds and stuff like that. And so that is, at first glance, this is pretty cool. Like, and I think I like it more than I dislike it. But what I dislike about it is the following: that especially the past, where we flash back to every now and then, is basically 1950s America. With all its, it has the Red Scare, it has like all its prejudices and whatever. This is just suddenly half of the people having these prejudices are black or are women or are non-binary, and it feels very weird because that is a very racist time in 1950s America. Like and it creates a sort of dissonance. It kind of the message that kind of arrives in me is like, oh yeah, it was bad back then, but that it was not because of racism. Or like people being afraid of gay people.
Yeah. So all these things then sort of feel a bit blunted or inaccurately portrayed.
So the I want to say the social criticism that the Fallout games have is it's kind of blunted. That's a good word.
Damn. Well, that's quite a comprehensive initial review, Daniel. And I think I'm still interested. I'm definitely interested
Oh
to
yeah,
check
like
it out.
do
Yeah.
do watch it. I enjoyed it tremendously. It is also, I
Hmm.
think, one of the best TV show adaptations that I've seen so far. Game adaptations, I mean.
Yeah. Well, the last one of those I checked out was The Last of Us, which I'm
Oh yeah,
very
that's
much
also
looking forward
incredibly
to.
good.
Yeah.
Like I
I
think
want.
I prefer The Last of Us even, but I mean Fallout is a very different like series of games, and yeah, they caught that pretty well.
Oh,
One thing, one thing that I noticed is, you remember I have the piercing, the new piercing, right? And I have a bottle of disinfectant or something that I'm supposed to spray on the piercing every like 3 times a day, and that
yep.
bottle is weirdly shaped, like because like European spray bottles don't look like that, and um, the Fallout TV show gave me that thought, basically, that when you watch the Fallout TV show, especially in the past, basically, which is their version of the 1950s, everything looks slightly different. Like TVs and screens are way more rounded. Things have
Hmm.
different brand names, that kind of thing, right?
Yep.
And when I watch that, it feels exactly like when I went to the United States. You know, everything is kind of the same, but it's slightly off. Like, for example, these spray
Yeah.
bottles are shaped differently, and they spray upwards instead of like laterally.
There's William Gibson described that in his book Pattern Recognition, and
Hmm.
there's a character in that she's in Camden, London, but she's from America, I believe, and she gives it the description of mirror world, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
things are the same but different. And I think that was down to, like, the plug sockets and the light switches, that sort
Oh,
of
that of
stuff.
course. Ooh, American plug
Yeah.
sockets are a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and then of
give me
course,
European Schuko stecker all time. Or the British ones, even they feel very solid and safe, and they have grounding and everything.
the
Like
British,
American
honest,
plug sockets, they feel like you're just like putting the wires directly into the walls. Like, I mean, who cares?
and New Zealand ones are somewhere in the middle, right? Which is what I've got now. Certainly coming here from the UK, UK plugs now look like Duplo Lego. Gigantic
They are
blocks,
huge, right?
huge, absolute units of a thing. Uh, but yeah, no, these are the things that are different but work the same everywhere, in one way or another, in terms of how you use them. And that mirror world effect is definitely a thing. So it's kind of interesting the TV show gave you a bit of that, because it'll be a very deliberate stylistic thing
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
and that's one of the things that I really like about the Fallout shows as well.
We're quite in the weeds, Daniel, and that's okay. Like,
We
I think this
are.
show is part indie dev and development chat, and also part the Dave and Daniel show catching up. So it's all good. Uh, I have one more thing before we wrap, though, just
Oh, give it
to
to me,
talk about.
Steve.
Okay. So I feel like I need to be wearing a turtleneck, which I'm not. I'm wearing a hoodie. But anyway,
Same thing almost.
we spoke about my dilemma of what to name GoVJ Pro, how that would fit with
Right.
the original app, because GoVJ Pro is the second VJ app that I plan to make after this version 3 release. So that's why I want all of this out of the way, because my next bit is like, well, hey, getting into building a new app. Um, GoVJ Pro is a mouthful. It causes a bit of lack of distinction with the original app and overlap, and gets a bit weird of, like, at the moment the in-app purchase is a pro unlock. So people are going to look and kind of, there might be that vibe of, but I'm a pro subscriber to GoVJ, so why can't I have GoVJ Pro? I'm changing the name. Very simply, I've landed on, absolutely, I want
Okay.
to go with, so the name for the new app is, drum roll, Pro VJ.
Nice. Pro VJ.
Yeah.
Um, nice. So does that mean or what is the distinction? Like GoVJ
Okay.
is now GoVJ, right? So there's the app for your phone that will allow you to create video backgrounds if you are a club entertainer.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be the large distinction. Will be phone and
Mm-hmm.
iPad will be the sort of split. Like the Pro app will, certainly in my eyes at the moment, never come to the phone because it's going to be all about the bigger UI and everything that you can do there. So it naturally means that GoVJ is the phone one, the portable one, the pocket edition, if you
It's
like.
GoVJ.
Yeah. And then Pro VJ is like, all the bells and whistles, all of the layers, all of the features, all of the UI. So it makes that distinction and it makes it obvious that it's a different app. I don't have that overlap. There's also a bit of an arrogance in the name, Daniel.
Yeah, because if I use Pro VJ, then I'm obviously a Pro VJ,
Yes.
not one of those stinking amateurs.
Exactly. And I think the first reaction I'm going to get from some people in the scene is going to be like, oh, scoff, it's an iPad app. How is it Pro? And I was thinking about this, like, how does it stand up against any of the Pro software? And then it kind of occurred to me of like, well, they're not necessarily my customer base, right? Somebody who's got an iPad who wants to do that level of work is my customer base. So people who are quite happy with their PC rigs or their existing Mac setups, are probably not my immediate customers.
Right.
And so that's okay. And then there's another part of me that is like, well, if the name on an iPad app makes anybody kind of think unkind thoughts as to its possibilities and its capabilities, my only reaction is going to have to be, well, load the app and give it a try. Right? So there's an inbuilt arrogance, if you like, to naming it Pro VJ out of the gate.
I like it. Yeah. I mean, like, you should be a bit arrogant, or not even arrogant. Like, you should be just secure in your abilities and in the app's abilities. And from what I've seen so far, it's going to be an absolute banger. It's going to be way much more powerful than the GoVJ version. So yeah, make it Pro.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. On that note, Daniel, I think we should wrap the show.
We should. My voice is still working, so we should end while it's still working. So, thanks everyone for listening. Please rate us on iTunes. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Send us emails to contact@waitingforreview.com. And also, Dave, please tell me where people can find you on the internet.
You can find me on Mastodon at dave@social.lightbeamapps.com. And you can find all about my apps just on lightbeamapps.com. How about you, Daniel?
Find me at daniel@social.telemetrydeck.com. And also go to telemetrydeck.com, which will probably change a bit in the near future. All right.
Brilliant.
Dave, have a fantastic day. I'm going to have a fantastic evening. You have an absolute laser day. And I'm going to wave at the camera to say goodbye again.
Take care, Daniel. Bye.
Bye.